Association defines as an illegal sexual activity with prepubescents. That's paedophile. So it's a very unknown area in many ways. I understand the discussion so far today has been looking at, well, what should we do?
Yes. That on other things, but yes, I mean that we did have a fair bit of a discussion on that.
Well, unfortunately, the treatment for paedophilia, the only known treatment to be used is psychotherapy, and the outcome is only moderate on that. So, and also treatment outcome is usually more positive if the person actually seeks help themselves rather than being told to do so by a judicial system.
Does it seem that there are perhaps, I don't want to oversimplify it because I know it's a very complicated area,
yes,
this,
it is,
but there are some paedophiles who are happy to be paedophiles and actually quite enjoy the sensations they get, and there are others who battle and fight with their emotions.
Yes.
Would it be fair to draw a distinction between those two camps?
It depends on the person, what stage of life they're at. I think that, under the BMA, that's the British Medical Association, their diagnostic criteria, under their terms it says that the person has little concern for the people they're actually having, for the child they're having sexual acts with. That's the BMA definition, but of course that's very general. It doesn't account for all people. But what you're saying does link in very, very much with the treatment outcome, which is a Mosby's kind of reference, which says that if the person's motivation is there rather than being told to, the outcome is much more positive for non-reenactment of this crime.
Is it possible? I mean, the blanket it seems quite a straightforward idea of anybody who's convicted for paedophilia should not be released from jail ever, would suggest that is playing it as safe as you possibly could. Do you think we have got the ability to be less categorical than that in this country, that we could, let people go who we think are safe?
I think I'd like to come back to you. Can I just bring... I'll answer that in another way for you, because it's a very direct question. Basically, there are three main areas I'm hearing from you, Neil, at the moment, and also from the concern of the public. The one is that it's our normal instinct to protect at all costs our young, and that means at all costs. I mean, parents listening to us now would say, well, I'd lay down my own life for my child. And that's quite normal. That instinct is there, and I think that's where a lot of the heated arguments and the strong feelings are coming from today. The second area is the need for people who commit these acts to have access to help and containment. They need access. At the moment, it's a very scary thing, very underworld and very under-resourced. The research isn't there. And thirdly, there is a need for support for all of us, not just the poor children who are very, very sad victims of paedophilia, but all those people who are affected. There is need for help for those people, to somewhere to go, somewhere to look at what's happening with them, and somewhere to have a voice. Unfortunately, our society at the moment isn't creating... It's doing a very good job, but it's not creating 100% safety for our children. I think that's where the argument's coming.
Okay. Sorry if you're listening, you wonder what on earth is going on in the background. I'm afraid we're talking to Michael. Michael's at a railway station, and that's what all those strange noises are. And I'm afraid we caught him in transit, which is why we just put up with that. I understand the sophisticated nature of your argument, but I still don't think it answers the question. Are we good enough in this country to actually say this person is now safe, they can be let out? In other words, can we be less categorical than just saying let's bang them up forever?
Obviously it depends on the individual case. It depends on the person, the situation.
But quite a responsibility on the person who actually has to make that decision. Absolutely. This person is now safe.
Yes.
I mean, what a responsibility.
Yes. But also, there have been cases in the past where people have been asked not to be released into society because they will recommit. There's a huge newspaper story about 10 years ago just on this one incident, and a man was, I think, asking for himself to be castrated because he felt that he wasn't safe and he didn't want to put himself at risk. So that's another individual case, somebody extremely not wanting, not actually feeling safe about self. So
yeah. Okay. Someone emailed me and suggested castration as a way of dampening sexual desire.
Yes.
I don't know much about this. I'm not a medical person. I don't know whether or not you can...
Testosterone forces the sexual drive, which is obviously produced in, around the testes and the prostate. So, yes, that would actually dampen down sexual drive. But so does, bromide was used in the war to dampen down troops' sexual drives as well. So, but it's not exactly just a sexual drive issue. It's a very deep-seated psychological issue. Maybe that would be, you'd have to speak to a psychiatrist that's maybe done research on that.
Michael, you know that this part of the world, we've heard from the authorities, is an area where there are many paedophiles. Mm-hmm. They may be listening to this programme at this very moment. Yes. What would, is there any advice you could give someone who is battling with their emotions? What should they do?
I would say that if they are battling with their emotions and they're very unhappy, then to seek help. And I think a first port of call, if they felt unsafe about seeking help, would be to call their duty social worker. Everyone has access to duty social worker, and that's to make one phone call and say, I need to speak to somebody, I need help, and take it from there.
Okay. Michael, thank you very much indeed.
You're more than welcome.
Good to talk to you. Cheers.
Okay, take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye.